Hello, my name is Rick Houston, and welcome to the Moneyline Scene Vault Podcast, your source for all things NASCAR history. Presented by Las Vegas Motor Speedway, America's racing showplace.
Run out there with the tire wrap in my mouth, hold it in there, pull the tire off, reach under the hood, start jamming in there. Blank. Next thing I know, I wake up, I'm in the hospital.
You talked about getting dizzy and that kind of thing. How long did those kinds of after effects impact you?
It still affects me to this day. I made myself go back. You know what my care is? It's called Suck It Up, Buttercup. Let's go.
The day NASCAR and all of us associated in any way with NASCAR forget its past, that's the day we don't have any future.
Well, Bobby, first things first, how did you get involved in racing?
That's kind of funny. When I was in college and I didn't really want to do the 9-to-5 job like everybody else did, and my sister lived down here in the Charlotte area, and she was friends with Jeremy Mayfield and his first wife. That's how I got started involving, in the world of NASCAR. Even though I dabbled around in drag racing and dirt racing back home in Virginia, it kind of struck a nerve. I was like, oh, I want to go do this. Of course, I was getting out of college with a mechanical engineering degree. There really wasn't engineers in the world of NASCAR. So Jeremy kind of led me into talking to certain people. I met Preston Miller when Preston was in charge of Ford SVO, and it just kind of took off. And when it happened, it happened.
Now, you eventually wound up with the Wood Brothers, starting out at the Cup level.
Yep.
Now, had you done anything before that at lower levels?
No.
Okay.
No, I was as green could be. It didn't make no difference of the entitlement. You still went in there and you cleaned the floors, you cleaned the cars, you cleaned the bathrooms, you done what you had to do. But you learning from the ground up. So that's the way it used to be, which we all know that.
All right. So what was it like getting your feet wet with a team that had been around that long and were so entrenched in the sport?
Believe it or not, it was great. It was humbling because you had so much knowledge and experience with the Wood Brothers, with Eddie and Leonard and Lynn, and you got to meet Glenn and the just everything there. So it was like an Encyclopedia Britannica. How much did you want to read it, and how much did you want to learn from it? So I thought that was great.
Now, what were you doing when you first started out?
Well, I was in there hired to do the engineering, was learning how to build shocks, doing data acquisition, learning how to set the cars up, but a little bit of everything from, like I said, from washing the cars after the race weekend, putting motors in, pulling motors out, sanding the cars, help the guys in the body shop. It didn't make no difference. Everybody done everything.
How long did it take you to feel like you belonged at this level? Or did you ever feel like that?
Honestly, I didn't really feel like I belonged in the Cup Series for about 3 years.
Okay.
Because you didn't know nothing. I mean, you walk in a world that most people don't understand. And it don't make no difference what you think you know. You're always going to learn something new. And, it doesn't make no difference what you learn in college. Your best teachers is the old guys. So I really didn't feel like I knew nothing or I belonged until about 3 years into being in the world.
All right. So you did go to Jasper.
Yep.
After a year or so with the Wood Brothers. And at Jasper, you worked with Michael McSwain,
Yep.
Fatback.
Yep.
I'm sure that was an experience.
It was. We hit it off. We had some fun. We did some crazy things. Fatback is a great guy. He's very superstitious. Most people don't believe it because back in the day, before we went to qualifying, if we didn't have certain things for breakfast, like with sending in fixed oil trucks,
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
You're fine. So, like, if Cindy and Stump didn't fix certain things for breakfast, we didn't qualify good. That was Fatback's regime. If Fatback didn't have his liver mush and I didn't have country ham or something like that, it was just one of them things. But it was good times. I mean, granted, we was a low-funded team, but we all worked well together.
So Michael McSwain is a liver mush fan.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I knew that there was something not right about him. I knew that there was something up about him.
Fatback loves liver mush. He might not say so, but I remember he used to have him a liver mush.
Awesome.
On a cat head biscuit.
That's great. You did go to DEI.
Mm-hmm.
When you joined DEI, what was your responsibility? What did you join that team to do starting out?
Walt Smith and Dale and Felipe Lopez, number one, was bringing me in to help change the face of the pit crew. It ended up being more than that as time progressed, but that was the first phase of we need to get our pit crew right. I mean, when you worked with Dale, you know that everything had to be A1A. Dale didn't expect nothing less. So the pit crew needed to be fixed. So that's where we started. And then, of course, it just, transpired into working on the setup plate, working in the engineering department, doing this, doing that, going on the road. But the biggest thing was to get the pit crew up in order where they competed on Sundays the way they should have done.
Now, what were you doing on the pit crew?
Well, when I started DEI, I was on the rear. I was changing rear tires. And that's where I'd always been. And then Walt and Ty Norris and the rest of them was talking, and they wanted to move me out front. I'm like, you really want to move me out front? Like, you sure you want to put me out front? I'm like, you can't keep them out front with me now, and so you go take me off the rear and put me out front. And I'm like, yeah. I said, okay. So they put me out front, and that was the worst mistake in the world because then you didn't have nobody to catch me in the rear. And I've actually been looking at old videos showing my daughter because she always thought I'd just change front tires. I'm like, no, I've done rears too. So, but, started in the rear, made it out front, and that's where it stuck. That's where I stayed to the end.
Which did you prefer?
Oh, I like the front. I mean, you get out there and showboat all you want. Plus you ain't got to chase that car.
All right. Dale Earnhardt, the boss. Tell me some Dale Earnhardt, the boss stories.
The boss.
Or some just Dale Earnhardt stories. It doesn't matter.
Everybody always had the persona of Dale being the intimidator. Yeah, no. If he liked you, you knew it. He would always give you a hard time if need be. If he did, you was golden. If he didn't, you better watch what you're doing. He would come out there and mess with us at pit practice. He would sit there and tell us old racing stories. Be doing stuff in the shop. He would come in there and mess with you. One time I was fixing, building the new cool down unit where we had it where it cooled the water and heated the water. I'm sitting out in the truck bay, not paying attention to what I was doing, had the wires uncovered, stuck my hand up underneath there and shocked myself. And he comes walking by and see me jumped. He goes, how'd that work for you, dumbass? I'm like, not real good. And you sitting there squeezing your hands like, oh, God, that hurt. He goes, bet you won't do that again, will you? I'm like, yeah, I will. Things like that. And then, but he was a great guy. Actually, if you remember when Steve Park wrecked in Sonoma, and tore the car up pretty bad. He'd sit there on the lift for like months. Dale come in one day, he was raising hell, telling us, get rid of that car. I'm like, well, I got something else to do. I don't care, get rid of it. All right. So start tearing it apart. Car was bent up pretty bad. Ended up busting myself in the face with a wrench. I threw the wrench, and it stuck it in the wall, went by, was dragging blood through the hallway. He was in Ty's office. Come back through there, and he's got my face, and he's spreading my lip open, and he's yelling at Randy, his brother, go take me to the hospital, go get stitches put in my face. And then I come back, he goes, now you got to fix my wall. Because I threw the wrench and stuck it in the wall. But yeah, just things like that. I mean, he just great guy. I mean, miss him a lot.
Now, you also changed tires on Dale Jr.'s car, didn't you?
Yeah, I did stuff for Dale Jr. Ty would move me down there with them guys every now and then just because they needed something, and I'd go certain races with Tony Jr. and Pops and all of them, and that was good times. Tony Jr. probably tell you the same way I do. Pops used to just cuss us out like there wasn't no tomorrow. Thought both of us were his kids. But it was good times. It was great people all the way around.
What was the dynamic like between Dale Jr. and Dale Sr.?
Honestly, just father and son. I mean, Dale expected a lot out of Dale Jr. And why wouldn't you? It's your namesake. But he expected nothing less than the best. Put your best foot forward. Don't be doing this. Don't be doing that. You know, you're a face in the world right now of NASCAR where everybody's got your eyes on you. You can't go out here and get drunk, do this, do that, whatever. You can't do that. You can't do that, one, for who you are, but two, for the industry that you're in. So, to me, it's pretty high standards. So
you were changing tires, rears, then fronts. Did you ever do anything else?
I tried it, but I tried jacking one time. It didn't work too well. I didn't have enough ass.
Excuse me. There had been a lot of safety advancements on pit road.
Mm-hmm.
Up until November of 2001, how many close calls had you had? Was that 2 or 3 times a year that you'd have a close call? Was it every race that you'd have a close call?
Depends. Depends on where he's at. Depends on who's around you. I mean, most of the drivers are really paid attention to what's going on. That's a given. Some of them didn't. Some of them didn't give a shit. I mean, I've been buzzed. I've been bumped. Nothing dramatic. I mean, not like 01. Actually, when I left DEI and went to Robert Yates, Dale run over my foot at Martinsville, and he knew he did it. He told me after, he goes, I did that on purpose. I said, I figured you did. I said, but it didn't slow me down. I said, I still beat you out. But besides that, I mean, yeah, you get broken fingers, whatnots, cut up, beat up, bruised up, but nothing like 01.
Okay.
But, I mean, there again, you just never know. It just happens. It's pit road. I mean, these guys nowadays, they're hitting one lug nut. They ain't got a clue.
Yeah.
I mean, not a clue. I mean, think about it. Think about what it was back in the day. We would be doing 15, 20 stops a race in the heat, the way it was.
Yeah.
Long less we done everything else, working on a car, set the pits up, do this, do that, do this. These guys fly in, fly out. They hit one lug nut. No. Totally different ball game.
All right. Now, you went from DEI, which was a pretty powerhouse team at that time, to Robert Yates Racing at the midway through the 2000 season, somewhere in there.
Actually, it was the second Bristol race, the night race. I was still at DEI. There was a lot of things I was unhappy about. Change of clothes, whatnot, stand outside, drink a beer in the garage, and somebody come down and say, hey, you need to come with me. I'm like, why? Fatback didn't want to talk to you. I'm like, oh, God, what'd I do? All right, so I, set my beer down, went down there, went to holler, and there sat Robert.
Now, this was after the race.
Yeah, this race was over.
Okay, all right. I hope you're not drinking beer before the race. No. Then we would have a scoop.
No. So there sat Robert, Ricky, Fatback, and Doug. Everybody. And I walked in, and they started talking to me, what would it take for you to come work for us? I said, well, one's a job. They said, all right, when can you start? I'm like, well, I said, we still ain't talked about nothing else. We ain't talked about pay, what I'm doing. Don't worry about that. We'll take care of that. When can you be here? I said, Monday. I'll be there Monday around lunch. Went in, quit, down the road, started at Yates, and we rolled into Darlington.
Really?
Yep. That fast.
Had you been thinking about making a move?
Yeah, but no.
Okay. If the right deal came along, sort of thing?
Yeah.
Had you talked to anybody else?
No. It never was on the radar.
Okay.
I was happy at DEI.
Yeah.
I was happy working for Dale. I was happy working for Steve Park and Paul Andrews and everybody like that. I was happy. There was other things that I wasn't happy about there that I wanted changed. And it never was paid attention to what I kept explaining and showing, concerns about. And when this arose, I'm like, okay, you're at DEI. You work for the man. Here's Robert Yates and the legendary 28 car coming after you. Do you say no? Or do you look at what's not getting fixed and what you could go over and potentially be? So I left.
When you went to the shop, the DEI shop, that Monday morning or whatever, who did you talk to? Did you talk to Dale?
No, I talked to Paul.
Okay.
I went there and talked to Paul, picked my guns up. Everything else was, shop stuff anyway. Handed him a hard card, said, quit, see you, bye. He goes, that fast? That fast? I said, y'all didn't want to listen to me. I'm done. See you, bye.
Wow.
But then the aftermath.
Excuse me.
You're fine. The aftermath came after it, and when we was in Darlington.
All right. Well, tell me about the aftermath then.
So you remember in Darlington in 2000 when the race started, and all of a sudden it starts to rain, and then we go into rain delay, so we're all in the garage area. So I'm standing there talking to Ricky. And here comes Dale through the garage area. And Dale lets out one of them whistles, and I'm standing there talking to Ricky, and he goes, come here. And I looked at Ricky, I was like, oh, God. And I just, you went over just like it was your dad, and you walked down, your head hung down and whatnot. I was like, oh, God, I'm in trouble. And he goes, I want the truth. I was like, well, what do you want to know? He goes, why did you leave? I said, why did I leave? I said, I'll tell you why I left. So the certain individuals will stand there on the side. I left because I left that asshole, because that asshole, and that asshole. I said, I kept explaining, and nobody wanted to listen to me. And I said I'd had enough. He goes, really? I said, yeah. He goes, I heard you left here for $100 more a week. I says, Dale, I says, I can't lie to you. So I have no reason to lie to you. He goes, okay. I said, I'm making the same thing I was making when I was working with you. I said, my pay grade did not change. I said, I left because of that person, and that person. I said, that's why I left. He goes, I'm glad you told me that. I seen him walk over towards the one hauler, kicked everybody out, walked in there, and you know how Dale was. He slammed the doors, and after that, I don't know what was said. But I told him the truth. I had no reason to lie to him.
That unholy three, or whoever it was, did they stay with the team?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Wow. But there was talk, and what I was told through reliable sources, there was talk at the shop of why I left.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say who told me who, what, where, how, why, and when, but they told me flat out Dale wanted to know why in hell did I leave. And there was a bunch of stuff made up. And so you knew how Dale was. Dale come to me and asked me the question. I got no reason to lie to the man.
Yeah.
He never done nothing to me. I had a great time with him. We used to joke, kid, carry on, whatnots. He would do some cruel stuff to me, but it was all in fun. And
some cruel stuff. Nah, you can't throw that out there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can't throw that out there.
Oh, yeah.
And not expect me to bite. What did he do?
So if you go behind the house where he had that pond, Okay, there's cars thrown in there that one of them's an old race car from Steve's. We go down there and we throw it in there and whatnots, and you used to go down to the farm shop sometimes if you take you down there and you'd have something to eat and whatnots down there and see the pet buck and whatnots. He would make me walk back up the hill and he'd drive right by you just waving at you. I'm like, you gonna make me walk up here after you made me ride down here in the back of the truck because he had that big German Shepherd with him, so you had to sit in the back of the truck, and then you make me walk all the way back up the hill.
Now, how far is this walk?
Oh, it's not that far. It's just the point. It's just being Dale being Dale.
Dale being Dale. All right, cool.
If he liked you,
yeah,
and you knew he did, and you knew he didn't, because that's how Dale was. He'd always have fun with you. Somehow down the line, he's going to have fun with you.
Did you have a chance to talk to him any after that?
Very rarely.
Okay. All right.
Very rarely. Just because I left in the middle of 2000, and then we kind of know the aftermath.
Yeah. So you're working on the 28 car, you go to Daytona, and everything happens there.
Yep.
What was that like?
That was a hard day. But I also knew the truth. And I still know the truth. And we won't discuss the truth because the truth's not being told. I know how he hit. I've watched him take harder hits than that. Just like when he barrel rolled Talladega. He barrel rolled Talladega. Gets out, looks at the car. I said, bullshit. It gets back in, takes off, drives. Finishes the race. He hit harder there than he did at Daytona. But hindsight's 20/20. But it was a great loss. You want my opinion? That's the day NASCAR died. It's never been the same. And it will never be the same. Because you had Richard, and you had Dale, and you had Jeff, and you had Tony, and you had Dale Jr., and you've had all these people that always stood up for what was right, what was wrong. We're going to do this. We don't need to do that. You ain't got that no more. You don't have a mainstay in the sport that like it used to be.
Okay.
The sport that we all loved, that we all grew up watching. Think about this. And this is the truth. And nobody understands this. It was driver driven, quote, quote, but it was also sponsor / driver driven. Think about that. You thought about Dale Earnhardt. What'd you think about? You thought about the man in black, the man driving that number 3 car. What was his sponsor? GM Goodwrench. If you was a Dale Earnhart fan, what'd you drive? You drove General Motors cars. You bought GM products. You was a Davey Allison fan. What'd you have? Oh, you drove a Ford, or anything you done was Texaco Havoline. Jeff Gordon, DuPont. You don't have that no more.
Yeah.
You do not have fans that look at their drivers and stand behind that sponsor, because the driver was always synonymous with their sponsor. I don't care who it was. Today, I'm 52 years old, and I still look at this. When I think of Richard Petty, what do I think him driving? That's STP car. He's always been in that car.
All right. Well, just to play devil's advocate, how is that related to Dale Earnhardt passing away?
Because
I would say that that's more a product of just economics and the sport getting really expensive.
Well, the NASCAR made it that way, but there again, when Dale left us,
yeah,
you only had but so many drivers left.
Right.
You had real drivers left. You don't have it no more.
Okay. All right.
Who that you have out there right now that you could say that was the mainstay or is a mainstay in the sport that talks to NASCAR and say, we ain't doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the voice, yes, I absolutely agree. There hasn't been a voice like that, but I do want to go back, and I'm just going to ask. You said you know the truth about what happened. What happened?
The seatbelt didn't break. It was loose.
Why would you say that they're loose?
Because the man told me to my face. When I worked with Dale,
Okay.
I'd ask questions. He goes, if I'm not winning that race, I'm coming at checker flag, I'm taking them belts off. I'm like, why? Are you nuts? He goes, no. I get out of that car. I don't have to deal with the fans. I don't have to deal with sponsorship commitments. I don't have to deal with team. I'm out. I'll deal with it on Monday. If I'm not winning, I'm out of here. That's number one. That's stuck home. Number two, if you took your blue jeans, you take anything like that, and you take it and you tear it, how does it tear? Does it fray, or is it a straight line? You look at the pictures of them seatbelts, it's a straight line. Those seatbelts are interwoven. It's going to fray. It's not going to be a straight line cut. So that's bullshit. Body motion stays in motion. First law of physics. How he sat in that seat, how all these drivers sit in that seat, they sit like this. You go tell me that your body's going to move from right here where I'm sitting. You're holding that steering wheel like that. And your face is going to hit that steering wheel that far up there.
Okay.
You believe that? Do you honestly believe that?
Well, I'm not an engineer and I'm not a physicist or anything like that. So,
see, there's your difference. I am.
Okay.
But that's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I look at facts. I look at data. And the facts don't add up.
So how did that get out there?
You think they're going to tell you the truth? Do you think NASCAR's ever going to tell you the truth?
Okay.
No. NASCAR's worse than the government. They ain't going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you what you want to know.
All right. So 2001 starts off really bad.
Really bad.
Then we go to September, and it gets just as bad.
Oh, yeah.
With 9/11. And then we go to Homestead, and, you know, the weight's starting to come off a little bit. We're not past Dale, but we're not past 9/11, but, you know, we're coming to the end of the season, finally, mercifully. And Ricky comes in for a pit stop, and then Ward comes in for a pit stop, and then Ward leaves. What do you remember, if anything, about that day?
Here's the scary part. I remember the whole day.
Do you really?
So we get to Miami.
Can you point the mic to you a little more?
Right there.
Well, slide it. Turn the whole thing this way. Yeah, there you go.
Anyway.
Okay.
All right. So we get to Miami. We qualified fairly well. We actually was leading the points, or we was tied with Jeff. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was between the 28 and the 24. We was in pit stall 1. Everything was great. Race started. We're doing our thing. Race is going on. We come in for one stop, and Fatback yells, I want to put a rubber in the right front. Okay. No problem. He shows me which one he wants. Okay. Tells me where he wants, how it's situated. Okay. Run out there with the tire wrap in my mouth, hold it in there, pull the tire off, reach under the hood, start jamming in there. Blank. Next thing I know, I wake up, I'm in the hospital.
So you don't remember the impact or anything?
That part, no. Now, yeah, I got it on my phone. I've seen videos. I got pictures of it, and everybody asked me, how does that affect me? And like, how's it going to affect, how you expect it to affect me? It doesn't affect me at all because I don't recall a lot of it just due to the nature of what happened.
Yeah.
Now, the extent of the injuries, that's a little different. But once I got hurt and they life flighted me to Miami, they really didn't give me a good prognosis of if I was going to make it or not. I was told one thing, and some years down the road, I actually found out it was worse than what I was told to begin with. The doctor that I see now that does me my cortisone shots every 6 months, we talk about it quite a bit. He's actually he works for NASCAR, and he says, no, he goes, the percentage that he goes, it was lower than that, just due to the nature of the injuries. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, because how Ward hit me and how it flipped me and threw me back over in the wall, it fractured my skull from my eye socket, across my temple, back of my head, blew the back of my head out, blew a hole in my eardrum. And at first, I was told it was like 20% chance. It was actually lower than that. To lay down there in the Miami ICU for a week or something like that, and then come back, and then spend so much time down here at CMC. I mean, I was lucky. I was really lucky.
What was your rehab like?
There wasn't a rehab. My rehab, if you want to call it a rehab, I would go to the gym because Walt Smith was still my trainer. I would go down there, and because I wasn't allowed to go back to work, I would go down there and I'd work out down there every day. I'd have headaches, get dizzy, fall down. I mean, I had certain drivers in there, certain old crew chiefs in there, and they would tell me, come on, get up. You got to go. You got to go. And I'd just go in there and work out. That's all.
So this was a thing that you were expected to shake off, basically.
As of whose standards? Mine or everybody else's? Well,
they were. You said that there were crew chiefs or whoever that told you, "Hey, come on, keep going, doing whatever." Is that
no? That was just them talking to me because knowing how I was.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I'd go in there and Waddell Wilson would be down there, and you gotta love Waddell. Just how Waddell is, and Waddell tell you, "Come on, you got to get up, you got to go." Steve Park tell me the same thing. Phil Parsons tell me the same thing. We'd go in there with Humpy Wheeler. He'd tell me the same thing. Come on, you got to get up. You got to go.
How did you react to that?
I got up and went.
Wow.
But you wasn't going to keep me down.
Mm-hmm.
My mentality from college ball to being in racing to doing what I love to do, you wasn't going to stop me doing from what I'm doing. The only thing that was going to stop me was my physical attributes if I couldn't do it. But I'd had to figure that out myself.
What kind of, you talked about getting dizzy and that kind of thing. How long did those kinds of after effects impact you?
It still affects me to this day.
In what respect?
The extent of my injuries are everlasting. I have no sense of smell.
Really?
I haven't been able to smell since November 11th, 2001 on lap 111.
Wow.
I have no sense of smell. None. Zero. Couldn't tell you what a fresh cup of coffee smelled like, fresh cut grass, fall leaves, nothing. Gone. Okay. I lost like 15% or so hearing out of my left ear where it blew a hole in my eardrum. So when you get me in a crowd with a bunch of people, you'll see me stand sideways.
Right. Yeah.
And I've had to tell people, I'm sorry. That's just how I got to comprehend all the noise. A lot of times I could be just like standing here talking to you. If we was carrying on a conversation long enough, you'll watch my eyes just start trailing off the side. And it's not because I'm not paying attention. It's that's just how it is. I get dizzy. Everybody knows I'm 3/4 dizzy anyway. But besides that, I have problems all the time. I get headaches like you wouldn't believe. You get a headache. Where's your headache coming? Your headache's right here in your temples or in front of your head.
Yeah.
Well, not mine. Mine's always back here. 110% back of my head. All the time. So I live with the after effects of that to this day. And it'll never go away.
What kind of doctor's care? I mean, do you just make regular family doctor visits, or are you actually still under the care of somebody on a regular basis?
Mm-hmm. You know what my care is? It's called Suck It Up, Buttercup. Let's go. Go talk to Bill Heisel, the NASCAR doctor. I go see Bill every 6 months. I have to.
Yeah.
Because I got to get cortisone shots. As tore up and beat up as I am. I get them in both shoulders and both knees. Besides that, I just go. I don't go to the doctor unless I got to.
Yeah.
And I'm like other people. The only time I'm going, or certain people that we know or we used to know, the only time I'm going to the doctor is if I'm sick or I'm dying. I'm not going to the doctor.
Yeah.
If I
now, is that a new thing, or was
I've always been like that.
Okay, all right.
I've always been like that. Always been like that. Always. Okay. My ex-wife will tell you flat out that I am. Well, I can't just start off on her, but anybody that knows me knows I'm stubborn as can be and fickle-minded and whatnot. And if it ain't broke, I'm not gonna fix it. You talk to Bill, he'll tell you flat out if I'm calling him or texting him, I need some shots. I done drove it till the wheels fell off of it and I can't take it no more, and I gotta go have these shots to function. But I'm not under doctor's care. Not going to be. Don't need to be.
How long was it before you came back to work?
I hurt on the 11th. Spent the week in Miami in the hospital. Spent the week down here at CMC. Was released. We was going to... Actually, that's when we was going to New Hampshire to make up the New Hampshire race. I asked Robert and all of them if I could go. They said no. It ain't like I wanted to go change tires. I just wanted to go. I just wanted to be there. I said no, can't. Insurance. Okay, cool. I got you. I went deer hunting. I just got out of hospital from halfway dying. I can't go to the racetrack. I'm going to go home and go deer hunting. So I did. That was in November. And I stayed in the gym until finally Dr. Petty and all of them released me in January. And when they released me in January, I went back to work. Started practicing, kept working out. And come February, we done the ARCA race. We done the bud shootout. Took off. Never slowed down.
So after your accident, that was a turning point in NASCAR history. I mean, you can look back to that day and say that that's the day that helmets after that became mandatory.
I laugh about it. Is that how I wanted to leave my mark?
Yeah.
No, that's not how I want to leave my mark. It's good. Is it 110% the right thing? No. Just think about it. Just go back in 1990 when Mike Rich got killed. Is change in his pit road speed, did that make a big difference? Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
I still remember when we used to do the Winston out here, and you had no pit road speed, and they're coming out there and flying at you, and when you're diving in front of the car, it coming at you 100-some mile an hour, and you're just like, this is going to hurt.
Now, you weren't working in the...
It was. I got to do it a couple times.
Okay. For who?
I have to go back to the list.
Okay. All right.
But you got to think about it. We still did it. We only did it during the Winston. That was it.
Okay.
During the Winston qualifying, that was it.
Okay. All right.
As of regularly, no.
Okay.
No.
I got you.
As of the Winston,
Yeah.
yeah.
But did anybody ever give you a hard time about, hey, man, you made us... You couldn't get out of the way. Now we got to use these freaking helmets.
Oh, yeah. A lot of officials used to give me trash. We got to wear these damn fire suits now and these helmets because of you. I'm like, well, it ain't my fault. I said, talk to Casey Atwood and the rest of them. I said, it happens.
It strikes me that you were working for Ricky and changing tires on Ricky's car.
Mm-hmm.
And Ricky was the one who had been involved in the accident with Mike Rich.
Deja vu, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did have you ever talked to Ward about that?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Could you understand him?
We're Virginia boys. We understand.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, you are. Okay, all right.
You gotta remember.
What was that conversation like? How long afterwards?
We worked together.
Okay.
I worked with Ward at Haas CNC Racing.
Okay.
We talked about it vaguely. He didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd pick about it. I'd laugh about it.
Yeah.
He didn't want to talk about it. It bothered him.
Now, how would you pick on him?
Well, just like, I changed front tires for him. Hey, when you come in, don't hit me. You done hit me once. I don't need you to hit me again.
I'm not a hood ornament.
No, yeah, I don't want to be no more hood ornaments,
Yeah.
Just stuff like that.
All right. Did you feel a sense of when you came back to work and did you immediately go back to changing tires and everything? Just go right back to?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get the sense that other people or other crew chiefs or anybody looked at you as if you were damaged goods?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. I really did. And believe it or not, it was at Yates. That's why I ended up leaving Ricky and him and end up over Johnny Benson. That's the way that I perceived it. Now, there again, was that true? I don't know. But that's the sense you get.
Yeah.
That's the sense I felt. So I left. And when I left, that's when Fatback and I had our falling out. Because that's the way I felt. I felt like you treated me like damaged goods. But
In what sense did you feel that way? I mean, were you
you didn't have the camaraderie that it was. You didn't. I didn't feel like I was looked at the same. I didn't feel like it. And that's just the way I felt. Now, did my tire carrier look at me differently? No. Did certain other people on the pit crew? Yeah. I felt it. But they're not going to say it. They won't admit it to this day. But you don't take something that we had at Yates with Ricky and that team and have it to be that fucking good and throw it away. Because when it come to pit road and that 28 car, go back and look at the films. Go back and look at the races in 2000 and 2001. People hated pitting around us. Hated it. We loved it. We ate it up.
Because you were so quick.
We was that good. That team was that good. When we come down pit road, we knew it was time to get on with it. We was going to show you what it's all about. We had a team that was that good. And it just started being tore apart piece by piece. Okay. And that there again, that's my thoughts.
Yeah.
And the reason I look at the way I would look at it is think about this too. When I left Yates and that crew in 02, it wasn't the same. That pit crew wasn't the same when it come down pit road. That's just looking at the way he performed. I mean, I'm standing down there on the 10 car with Johnny Benson and him. And the 28 they may have been good out of the track, but they wasn't that great on pit road. Now, I didn't make the team.
Excuse me.
I'm not saying that I was that integral part, but it's just like any other kind of sport. If you take the leader of the team and you change the leader of the team and you put somebody else in there, is it going to function the same way? No, it's not.
I'm going to ask a question, and I hope it's appropriate. But you were talking earlier about the injuries or the after effects that you deal with today.
Yeah.
When you came back in 2002, were you damaged goods? How did those injuries impact you doing your stops, if at all?
As of me doing my job,
yeah.
As of the engineering and as of pit crew,
yeah,
it didn't affect it at all.
Suck it up, Buttercup, and just keep after it.
Yeah.
Okay.
My opinion, my damaged goods come from this.
Yeah.
That you let it to yourself. It's not that you let it into me, it's what you're doing to yourself. But you're also looking at everybody else and how they're treating you.
Yeah.
And he's lost a little bit. He's not the same. No, I really wasn't the same. I ain't gonna deny that. I had personal demons I was dealing with, different injury parts, different physical attributes. It is what it is.
So you had the obvious physical injuries, after effects, dizziness, and all that. I can't imagine going back out there ever again. Just from a mental standpoint. I would personally, I would be scared to death. But that's just me. I've never done a pit stop.
Oh, I wasn't scared. That never crossed my mind. That never crossed my mind.
Come on. Not once. Really? Wow.
I'm going to tell you something, and I might get emotional. I had more apprehension the day that I walked into the garage at Daytona. Than any other time.
2002?
Mm-hmm. Yep. everybody comes with everybody. The early guys come in as one group. You race day guys show up. When we showed up as the 28, y'all go. Leave me alone. I made myself go back. But when I walked in that garage, the atmosphere of people watching you come in, it stands true more then than now, in my opinion. You ever seen a garage stop? As long as you've been in it, around it,
No.
You ever seen a garage stop?
No. I thought the Busch Series revolved around me, man.
But no, I watched the garage stop when I walked in Daytona.
How so?
They seen me walk in. I seen guys stop doing what they're doing. Just come shake my hand. I had more people come up to me that day and shake my hand and say, "Welcome back," than you can ever imagine. I got more respect for my peers that day than I did from NASCAR. When I got there, I got the hauler. Of course, I had all my medical stuff with me. Fatback goes, "Come on, you got to go with me." I'm like, "Okay, where are we going?" We had to go see Gary Nelson because Gary was still the director. Here's a big old stack of stuff. Dr. Petty signed and released, and he goes, "I can't let you in the garage." "Why? You're not released." "Yeah, here I am." And Gary, being a prick he was, he just looked down and said, "Get out of here, say bye."
Was that Gary or Darby?
No, Gary Nelson.
Okay.
Darby came after.
Okay.
Oh, if it was Darby?
Yeah.
He'd had a ball with me. He still does. Last time I seen him, he was still having a ball with me. Give me the devil.
Yeah. I can't imagine what that feeling must have been like, dreading it like that and having that kind of reaction, but then at the same time walking in and everybody accepting you, all your peers accepting you.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Humbling. Very humbling.
Well, man, we could talk for hours, but in the long run, what do you want your legacy in the sport to be? Because whether you like it or not, you did have an impact on NASCAR history. I
think I did, but maybe I didn't. I don't know.
And obviously it wasn't intentional. I'm sure you would have rather not done that.
No, ain't a lot about that.
But I think about Robert Callicutt, Richard Petty's gas man.
Mm-hmm.
And when that fire took place, after that fire suits became mandatory. After your accident, helmets became mandatory. And I think that you can't downplay that.
I do.
Suck it up, go on about your business.
Yeah, no. I look at it where is it a piece of NASCAR history? Yeah. Is it me? Yeah. Do I accept it and embrace it? Yeah. Is that what I wanted? No. Was it going to happen eventually? Yeah. My opinion? Yeah. It could, but that just kind of helped. That just kind of helped push it over the hump.
Yeah.
Because think about it, Cal Wells was already doing it. He already had his guys wearing them. But everybody else wasn't doing it. I was even one of the ones that ain't wearing that damn thing. Yeah. I ain't putting that on my head. I end up doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Now, do I accept it? Yeah, I accept it. But I don't look at it. I don't look at it. That's my legacy. Yeah. I don't. I really don't.
And I hate the saying, but in a situation like this, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't change it.
No.
You didn't go looking for it.
No.
But it is something that happened.
Yeah.
You stayed in the sport for quite some time after that.
Yeah.
I know that you worked for Ganassi.
Yep.
You mentioned working for Haas CNC. At what point did you decide to walk away from the sport?
Well, yeah, I mean, I bounced around a lot of places, but we all did. I become crew chief finally in 2011, and I took over for Doug Richard at Rick Ware's with Timmy Hill. We won that championship, even though I was not listed as the main crew chief anymore. I still look at it. I guided Timmy to that. I figured it would go up from there. I guess I didn't get paid to think, because the sport, starting from then on, it became too politically correct. You can't get on to nobody. You can't yell at nobody. You can't do this. Can't do that. It sure the hell wasn't like that when we was coming up through it, because I remember getting my ass chewed up from one side down the other for a screw up or something like that. You know, and that's just the nature it is. It's a competitive sport. It ain't like that no more. And I end up working for owners that wrote bad checks. You couldn't get nobody to work. People would come in wanting all this money, and they wasn't worth the dollar that you was giving them anyway. And I said, piss on it. I'm done. I'm done with chasing that crap around. I'm done with worrying about paycheck to paycheck. I'm tired of worrying about, come November, are you going to get laid off? Are you going to be able to find a job? Whatever. You know, I was married, had a young child and whatnot. You know, you have a livelihood to, to sustain. And I had enough. And I said, piss on it. I'm done. Now, when I walked away, did I want to walk away? No. But I wasn't going to stand there and deal with the BS of that you're dealing with bad checks, people not wanting to work, can't get parts, this, that, this. When this is a competitive sport, and yeah, you could get your ass reamed out. Yeah, you need to get on and get on with it. You need to do your job. Yes, sometimes it's great, and yes, sometimes it's bad. But in the long run, you hire people to do the job that they do, and you go after the best, and you want the best. And I wasn't ever going to get to the echelon where I wanted to. Why? Because I know why. Because I learned from the old school people. I done it old school. And if it's messed up, I'm going to tell you it's messed up. If I'm going to tell you the most politically correct way, hell no, I ain't going to tell you that. I'm going to tear you a new ass just like I used to get it. But that's not how NASCAR wants it nowadays. And I just said, I ain't dealing with this shit. You can have it. Y'all putting the nails in your own coffin anyway. And that's why I walked away. And it's the best damn decision I made.
Good deal. Anything else you'd like to get across?
No, I mean, like I said, besides that, I'm golden. You know, like I said, I can't complain the years that I spent in it. I had a lot of fun. I made a lot of great friendships. Yeah, of course, we all made enemies. I got to go to a lot of places and see it do a lot of things, and, you know, got the wins and this and that and this to back it all up. I also have the pains that every day that most of these guys will never understand, because you won't. Because the way it is nowadays, think about that. Seriously, think about that. They got all this changed out to where you got one motor. You don't do this, you don't do this, you don't do this. I remember back in the day, hell, we changed motors every weekend 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And you went out there and you set the pit road up, and you went out there and you pitted a car, and you done this, and you done that. And ain't none of this flying on Sunday, go home and do whatever and get paid $100,000 just to go work out and shit like that. You some bitches couldn't handle half the stuff we used to do. Ain't no way. No way. So, but do I harbor ill feelings because of that? No, not really. Am I pissed off that you guys are, you know, living off what we and the guys before me done, and you're getting more than what we used to get to it? Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? We built the roads for y'all to be running on. The history built while you're here. You need to respect, not just like me. I ain't worried about me. I'm talking people like, you know, like Ricky, Davey, Donnie, Bobby, Dale, Jeff, Tony. That's what built where you're at nowadays. You assholes wouldn't have to be doing nothing if it wasn't for them guys at all.
Yeah.
And they don't look at it that way. I know they don't. I watched it. I seen it when I was still racing. But, you know, there again, you'll have that big time auto racing. But I'm happy. I had a great career. I own my own business now, so I can't complain. I got a couple business partners, and we do all these great big torque tools for big companies and whatnots, and I enjoy the shit out of it.